starting off with part, what is it, 4? I'm going to make an alpha channel because there's none in the JPEG image, which is common. You can make a PNG, but I had trouble last time, so I'm just going to select the watermarks with the lasso just to make sure that I don't have any problems with it later on. And I'm just going to snag this, snag that. Right, and using the shift key so I don't deselect as soon as I make another selection. And I'm just going to swivel this around and fill this up. Not content aware, just the foreground. Thank you very much. Right, now I'm just going to, don't know if I'm going to have trouble here. We'll see. Or at the tail. I'm going to use the select tool, color range, and I'm just going to select the fish and not the fuzziness. Oh, hang on, I can also use the magic wand. I just have to put the tolerance down to about 16. That actually looks okay, except for that part over there with the mouth. See, here I have a problem, and I'm just going to lasso that out. So I'm going to use the shift key and just going to roughly go around it. This is an extra measure. And just going to pull it out. Make sure that, hang on, sorry, I just unlocked the layer. Make sure that the layer is unlocked, because I'm just going to hit the delete button and you get that nice checkerboard, so it has an alpha channel. Now what I can do is save this as PSD. Normally for game objects I wouldn't recommend it, but in this case it doesn't really matter. And I'm going to call this rod 3 because I already have a rod 2. Okay, and back to Cinema 4D. It doesn't really matter, but I can pick up the image in the color map first, and just do the double dot button, pick up rod. It's exactly the same as the one before, and go down to alpha channel and pick up the same texture. Now it's already in my bitmaps here. Rod 3, and anti-alias it, well, maybe slightly, just use charcoal, and stick that onto my fish. Now it's gonna be completely screwy. I'm just gonna go to grow shading and lines here in my side view so that I can see what I'm doing, and it's completely screwed up. You can tell that all the UVs are screwed up because it always goes from 1 to 0 or from 0 to 1 for each polygon, so you get the whole fish on every single polygon of the fin, and this is just completely screwed up. Now the problem is that it doesn't know, the software doesn't know that you want to have the texture onto the fish correctly. So we need to do something about it. First of all, let's make this a flat projection. That doesn't help, because this is what it looks like. It's full of holes, and the fish is, I don't know how it's projected, but it's all wrong. So what we need to do is go into texture mode and actually orient the projection properly. Go to the projection mode, but you have to select the fish, because otherwise you don't see this waffle kind of thing, and you can tell it's actually projecting back to front, and we need to rotate that, and hold down the shift key during the rotation, and I have to go exactly the other way, like that. Now go back to 3, and you see multiple fishes onto my fish, which is wrong. Now this is kind of the tricky part, because now we have to make sure that this projection is done properly, and the scale tool works from the sides, and this is a real bugger. It used to be different, much more simple in cinema, but I guess they had a reason to change this, and I'm just gonna add the X, and it works very counterintuitive, but you just have to look at what you're doing. Now you see it's still too small, and lining it up is going to be a headache, but in the end it will work. I'm actually fairly, let's see, over the y-axis it's actually fairly good. Now, so do this in basically with 2 steps. First do the X, then do the Y, or the other way around, but just don't try to line it up perfectly in one go, because it's not going to work. I'm just going to move it over like this. Actually, this is looking rather nice. Need to pull it up a little bit more. It's better to be slightly too big than slightly too small. See, this is a bit of a headache, and I get this open section at the bottom, so I have to move it again, then it opens up right there, so I have to make it slightly larger over the Y, and I'm actually making it smaller, like this. Well, you need to eyeball it, and I think I got it fairly. No, there's a hole here. So I need to move it again. If I line it up here, will it line up at the bottom? Looks like it. Just make it slightly bigger. Like this. And then move it up. I don't want to see any holes around the contour, so if it's slightly bigger, that's fine. I'll probably get in trouble here, and God, headache. So I can also pump up the size here, but I have to push the apply button if I want to do that, and just move it down here. This looks okay. Let's make this a nice cool 400. So this is tricky, but you can easily see if you've done it correctly by looking at your fish in perspective view, and here I see the alpha channel poking through, not at the bottom though, so I have to move it slightly and check it again. Oh God, now the hole is on the bottom. Alright, let's give this a push. This is the X, this is the Y, to 70. And now I get the hole at the top, so you can also do this in perspective, of course. And I can, this is when it's out. Almost. Right, no more holes, and at the bottom I get holes. Now, this should fix it, finally. Alright, so now we have the textured fish, but it's projected onto the fish. Oh, by the way, when I render it, you see the fins? They come out real nice. Hey, problem is that we still have the old UV coordinates. We can check those because this is a projection anyways, but how do I actually fix the projection onto the fish? Now, select these two things, so the geometry and the texture tag, so that it knows what to match with what. Just go into object mode, doesn't really matter. Go to text, text, and say generate UV coordinates. Now, what it does is when I hit this, I get UV mapping again, but it has new coordinates. This is excellent, except for the alpha channel that is still leaking here. It's excellent. My God, I just have to Control Z it, and let's see. Zoom in, and go into mapping again, and move it, and select the fish, because otherwise I don't see anything, and just pull it up like this, and pull it back like this. So I have to probably have a problem with the tail. No, actually the alpha will actually solve that. It's perfect. So do it again. Got the fish, got the texture tag, go to tags, generate generate coordinates, and I got my fish. Alright, next up, how to make this fish swim.